And we are live here on Plus One EXP for this month's funeral party, where we talk about whispers of the departed, importance of what to come. I might look like Tony Vicinda, but I'm actually Tony Vicinda's ghost, called from across time and space to be here with my good buddy Jarrett. Normal Tony is unavailable right now as a double stream day, so I said, you take the day off. I'll come back in time and talk to Jarrett. So it is ghost me. I'm very excited to be here with you, Jarrett. It's been a long time for me since I've done one of these. I hope I still remember how it all goes. I know it's only been a month for you.
The most important part will be the sign off that I hope over future millennia you have practiced. It's not you that messes it up. It's usually me.
I've only gotten it better, but I also don't have it here in front of me because I'm a ghost and can't operate Google Docs.
There's that as well. So I will take the blame because you would have had plenty of time to get that.
Yeah, I obviously mastered and perfected sign-offs years ago.
Right.
Yeah, we'll see how you do. We've got a couple giveaways going on today. I know that people are already like, hey, let me enter that giveaway. Let's start with that off the top, even though it's not typically what we do first. Jarrett, what do we got to give away today before I open that up?
So, short story long, because you know me. Those who talk to me know me. I talk a lot. Last month, my good friend and coworker Beckett Warren, who is our wholesale manager at Exalted Funeral, and I went to Madison, Wisconsin to ACD Games Day. ACD is a large distributor, one of the largest distributors of games, board, card, RPG miniatures to brick and mortar game stores across the world. And we got to meet a bunch of retailers and discuss how we can present our zines, the lovely saddle stitched zines, to the public, and how retailers can sell them and stuff. And to a resounding, immaculate success. It was amazing. We met a bunch of really cool people, and shout out to Michael and Corey at ACD. They're fantastic people, like staff. They led us around, showed us all the stuff. It's new to us, to me, honestly, a lot. And anyway, it showed immediate interest, and retailers are buying our stuff. They're buying all kinds of things from us. So when they buy stuff from us, that means we get to reprint stuff, which means creators like past Tony, I guess Ghost Tony.
I mean, it benefited me. I remember this moment in history.
Right, exactly.
It was a huge watershed moment for the entire zine industry, in all honesty. And so I do want to talk about that a little bit more. But a couple things. If you want to enter the giveaway, you are going to need to be over on Twitch. So if you're not, use whatever link you're watching Steven and Jeremy on Facebook. Come on over to Twitch. Get on over here. Enter over here. If you're on YouTube, you can't either. But yeah, I remember seeing in the past, a lot of these zines hit the stores like a week before this show went up. Like, people started posting out images of these things. So it's not only this happened, it's already we've already seen things in stores, pictures of people posting stuff up. And retailers buying a lot of stuff. So what are the actual things we put in the giveaway for this month?
So yeah, that was all to say that since we order more proof copies have to come to me to be approved, to make sure that they don't need to be reprinted or reported for damages or anything. So we get 2 bundles today. Bundle 1 is Creatures of the Dying World, Volume 1 by Johnny Bluesit. Old School Stylish by Nikitin, and Lost in the Deep by Diogo Nogueira. That's bundle 1. And bundle 2, and again, these are random, Night Crawlers by Tanner Ye, Kalinga Plateau Volume 1 by Gustavo Cholion. One of my favorites, The Big Wet.
Big Wet's very good. I'm a Sam Sorensen completionist.
And you might have heard of this one.
I have heard of that.
A little book called I Toaster.
Soon to go into its 3rd printing from Exalted Funeral, because the 2nd printing went around the country, basically. And so I remember that moment. It changed everything for me. Usually you would type in funeral funeral party, but I knew y'all were getting used to it. I knew y'all were going to come into the chat and just start spamming it. So you got to type in bury me to join this month. This is a moment where I started shaking things up in the EF ecosystem for our stream. So bury me. You do have to be following. You do have to be over on Twitch. You do have to be here live. And so go ahead and hit bury me. We'll do those 2 giveaways at the end. But let's dive into our first segment, and that's the hearse. We're going to talk about what's on its way, major announcements, other things like that. All right, so Jarrett, let's talk about some of the big things happening in the world of EF right now. You did talk about, you talked about that. You talked a little bit about AC/DC before you went, which was last month. You went. People bought a bunch of stuff. I would love to know, and we can put this wherever in the conversation we want to, a little bit more about that conversation. But let's hit whatever announcements you're already ready with first. But I'd love to talk a little bit more about that.
Well, where's my list, Tony?
I don't know, because you dropped them all in Discord, which Flesh Tony was kind enough to leave up for me.
Look at that. Some of you may know, probably, I'm hoping most folks who are watching know that not only is our annual summer sale, free RPG 4, happening the weekend of, the week of July 15th through 22nd. There'll be all kinds of cool deals, especially focused around the weekend. I have some previews of some new titles that are going to be dropping there. We also, because Tony, former Tony and I, and this could have been what killed Tony, was helping Jared and the gang all organize.
To clarify, we are one soul. You can just say Tony, and it will include both he and I.
Okay. We've done a soft announcement of our online convention. It's going to be taking place July 15, 16, 17. We're going to be using the Gather space, inspired by our friends at Session Zero Con and other conventions and other places. But Session Zero were the first folks who I heard that used it. Have you switched over to the Gather tab?
I haven't yet. No.
Okay.
We'll do that. We'll do that at the end. We'll switch over so people can see it.
Okay. Cool. So there was a soft announcement this past week in our newsletter. There'll be more details coming next week, including the all-important pricing. How much is it going to cost me to attend this con? And then what sort of pricing tiers? And we're going to have, general admission where folks get access to games, and we're going to have a call to arms next week for some volunteer GMs to run some events and games and stuff with us. I know another question people are going to ask, what if I run 4 games like an IRL convention? I was like, we're working on that too. As Tony knows.
I do know.
It's a lot. It's a lot of thought.
It ends up being very successful. There's a lot of work that goes into it.
That's awesome.
Know. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not till the 5th convention that we really hit our stride, but even out of the gate, we do a pretty good job.
Wait, I gotta live 5 more years. I thought I was gonna catch up with you, Tony Ghost Tony. And then we'll have, along with the sale, in the sale and the convention happening simultaneously, we've got a bunch of really awesome, cool new product. More of that will be teased on our socials and newsletter over the next couple of weeks. I don't want to spoil too much of the merchandise side. I'm just going to say that it's really, 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 really good. There's some really great stuff. I mean, and obviously t-shirts, Fallen Arrows have done some great work with some t-shirts. And there's Justin Saros, my co-project manager and also owner of Severed Books, has worked up some great patches and some really awesome stickers and some stuff like that. I'm stoked for the merch that goes with this. It reminds me very much of an IRL convention, like how we're doing this focus. It's a really neat thing to come together. This is my third one aboard the EF train. The which would have been free RPG 2. I was mostly a freelancer at that point, but last year was a wild ride. It was great, and this year is I have almost 40 new releases that are coming in from the Kickstarter from the EF exclusive sides, the printing partnerships, a full list of titles and creators. All of that will be again forthcoming. Save some stuff for teasers or for surprises, but and I do have some examples I'll show here in a second. I'm really excited for all the cool new releases, all the great creators I've been able to work with to get this product out. My bosses, Matt and Kristen, for letting me push the boundaries of some of the cool products and printing stuff that we do. Eventually someday we're going to put an RPG on a sword.
Yeah,
I swear.
Awesome.
We're gonna get there.
And like, to clarify, like last summer sale, we were in the teens, and so there's 2 to 3 times as many titles coming out in this month's summer sale, which like is not just about like, oh cool, EF's doing better and putting out more products, but like we got to realize, because of what Exalted Funeral is, that means last year like 19-ish creators or 15 creators or whatever it was got to put out their game and see their game made into a physical product. This year 40 plus creators are getting to see that happen. And that's really cool. Like, that's one of the things I love about EF. It's one of the things we really love here on Plus One. One of the reasons we love partnering with EF every chance we get is seeing creators actually get their games out and in print and out to stores and out to people and see those games getting played is what it's all about. And so, like, I'm excited to see that number increase, but I'm also excited that with that, we're also going to have a space to just play those games. Like, you'll get the digital copy immediately. Like, if you get a cool game you're super excited about, like during the summer sale, you'll immediately have people you can sit down and play it with, and that's rad. Like, that is so cool. And I'm like, as much of a challenge as it is for y'all, not me, to do those two things simultaneously, I'm thrilled to see that kind of immediate response we're going to get to have.
Yeah, I'm super stoked because we do put out the weekly new releases, exclusives when they're available, and our purchasing agent Ben does an amazing job of getting product in from third-party vendors and stuff like that. But you don't always hear like their reactions immediately. Whereas with this, we're going to be over in the gather space, and people are going to be coming up and they can be like, "Hey, really like the book," and I'm going to be like, "Thanks."
And I'm excited for the $1,000 all-in, you get every single book printed in the summer sale level of ticket too.
Wait, did you just make that up?
I mean, I mentioned it before, but it's not on the list that you sent me. So I do think one of everything is absolutely a level that should exist.
Okay, I will look into that with the bosses when I meet with them on Monday to finalize those numbers.
I don't know that anybody will do. Actually, tell me in chat right now, right? Like, so granted, we don't, like, it's 40 titles. Let's say it's like $15 each, just off the whatever. That is what $600. Let's even say we give you a percentage discount and call it for $500. Is there anybody out there watching right now who would spend $500 just to be able to click one button and get everything that came out in the summer sale? I don't know if there is. And that kind of is like who might do that. Not like if I had $500, I would. We all would, obviously. But like with just one button click option, I got it all and put it in my cart. How would you like that? Anybody out there? Let me know.
Thanks, Jody, for ruining my day. Oh, you're not ruining my day. It's interesting, and I do recall vaguely that you said that, and I'm like, that'd actually be interesting. One thing to note about our free RPG day release, for those who've attended it and purchased stuff for it during our sale and stuff before, we give out the first 25 copies of all of the new releases free. So you have to purchase something else in order to get the free thing, and it's a fun mad scramble to see who gets stuff. But that's the thing that we're never going to not do. Like we're always going to do that. Like like Matt's like, that's just part of it, and that's what we do. And I'm like, awesome. Along with that will be the next installment and in the Spear Witch, Anxiety Wizard, Exalted Funeral, thinly veiled television and IP homages. We'll call them that. I don't want to. I teased it with a certain color of blue/purple before. I don't want to let it go because that's one we keep near and dear. I will just say that Jared at Spear Witch and Anxiety Wizard have done a masterpiece. They were doing it. We were talking about it last night because it's at the printer. It's actually shipped. It should be sample copies should be in my inbox next week. It's amazing. Like they just did such a great job. I didn't have time to like jump in there and add like 5 sentences or anything to it. Like they just did it, and it's going to be really cool and really neat. And then like I said, we're going to have other cool merch and stuff like that, and a bunch of new releases. Ben's adding more stuff to the store. I think it's going to be like a really cool time to like have all this cool stuff out. And just a huge shout out to all of the creators who made it with me to through the deadlines of the finish line of getting things, and those who just for whatever reason like we're going to do their releases like after the sales, stuff like that. Like it just thank you to everybody for being like super patient with me. Like we got hit pretty well, and it's a good thing. And anybody who's talked to me in any of these calls about any printing projects, any stuff like this, like they know how literally excited I am because it's like getting more cool shit into the world is like the important thing. Like it's just I don't know. I like the game, as you can tell. I like the game, and I kind of live in games, and I want just more cool shit.
Awesome. A couple things real quick. Real Meat Castle, thanks for resubscribing. Always love having you in the community, and thank you for your support. Also, if you have joined us late, type an ! Bury Me to get entered into a chance to win one of our 2 sets of exclusive zine proof copies that Jarrett's going to send you after this. It's a bundle of about 3 or 4 zines each. We're going to give away 2 sets of them. Very excited about that. Jarrett, speaking of getting great things into print, there's also some cool projects up right now that we were going to talk about. You want to tell me a little bit more about those projects?
Yes, let me switch back to you real quick. I think there was one more thing. Did we want to talk about the con? That one other little thing?
All right.
The possibly special guest type sort of thing?
Sure.
Okay. Matt and I badgered Sean McCoy into doing a panel for the convention. So in addition to gaming at the convention, we will be having panels where, and again, scheduled to be announced very soon, I promise. But Sean has agreed to get up and do a panel about like Mothership and 1E and other games and stuff like that. We have a bunch of feelers out with other folks. Those panels will be included in the purchase price. You don't have to like buy a separate ticker inside or anything.
Actually,
like
a lot of the panels will also be part of the free access point too, because we do want people to be able to get to that content. So, free access is hit follow on this channel. We'll let you know when there's a panel happening. A big panel happening EFCon weekend. And it may not be all of them. There'll also be some live stream games. That'll all just be accessible to the community. But if you want to be able to ask questions, those will come from the con floor and not from the chat. So you'll want to be there if you want to be able to engage directly with them. You will be able to access all the content for free, though. So yeah, we've got Sean, we've got Hambone, who is committed to running John Hambone McGuire running a 3-2-1 action based on a movie that we will be screening at the event. I'm very excited about. You'll have access to staff for a couple different things. Lots of other cool guests coming. Levi from Planet X Games is going to come run some stuff from Phylactery and some of their adventures. So if you want to play with them, you can. Diogo has already committed to coming and running a number of adventures of Primal Quest, which should be out by then. Is it on its way?
Primal Quest Essentials is going to be releasing at the con, and we've got some supplementary pamphlets and zines to go with that. Third-party folks, Stephen Surratt's done some pamphlets. Matt Morris has done a great zine to go with it. There will also be an adventure module that Diogo did that's coming along with PQE. It's gonna be a cool one.
Yeah. So we've got we've also got people are talking about Land of Eam. We're going to be doing a live stream with the creators during the con also, so you'll be able to watch that inside the con or on the stream also too. The streams will be going into the con, so if you're in one of the major areas, you'll be able to watch what's going on the main stage also too. But we're going to be over on Gather as well. But before we talk a little bit more about Gather, some of that stuff, some of the other things that have gone out of stock, let's talk about a couple of great crowdfunding projects that are up right now.
Cool, yeah. First one is Abyss of Hallucinations Volume 2 from Max Moon Games. It's a third-party Morkborg setting inspired by the writings of the Beast, Aleister Crowley. And this one is super stoked. I've been lucky enough to work with Max over the last 3 months. It's got a box. This is when you know what I'm happy about things. So I like stuff and games, and Max was like, I want to do a box. And so we have had a long, hard road to get to the box being a reality. Not that boxes are difficult, it's just to do what we want to do. So I don't know if you popped that link up.
I did.
But AOH2 is up live. We had a couple of super special handmade tiers that Max did. For those of you who remember AOH1, Max hand did every single issue of that is in people's hands. Speaking of hands, that will really kill your hands. And so in order for Max not to be completely overwhelmed, I partnered with us to do AOH2. So it's going to be a screen printed zine. Covers are screen printed. The box is the box is happening. I can't speak too much about the box, but that's okay. And then there are also fancy re-envisionings of Crowley's Book of Lies and Book of Law. You will also be able to get Abyss of Hallucination Volume 1 as an add-on in the backer kit, and all in this nice box. We've got some stickers, we've got a shirt, we've got posters. You go check all that stuff out on the Kickstarter page. That's all really super neat, cool stuff. The fun part of my job, making all those things a reality in larger quantities, so that creators can enjoy time to do what they want to do.
Yeah.
So
before it gets too much further, also a lot of people are like, hey, who jumped in late. EFCon is an online event the 15th through 17th of July. It'll be hosted on Gather, which we're going to talk about a little bit more in just 1 second. Don't pop any links into the chat. One thing, it doesn't work. Two, any links you pop into the chat will not take you to registration currently, because the registration page is not up. All that stuff's going to come next week. So keep an eye both on our feed as well as Exalted Funeral for that information. It'll come out in email. It'll go out on social media. We'll make sure you do it. If you want to come run your game, you have the opportunity to submit games or panel ideas. I'll be working through the panels. Jarrett and I and the staff will work together on the games that get picked. Even if your game doesn't get picked to be run as one of the official slots, there will still be plenty of open gaming, so you can just come run your game. We would love to have you recruit people to come play in the con with you, or just meet people who are there and organize that way. So plenty of opportunities for that, but none of the links you're going to send out, I guarantee you, because I created them all at this point, are going to point you anywhere because there is nowhere to point you yet. That's all coming next week. This is kind of the sneak peek, because that's what we do here on Funeral Party. Also, Florida 666, man, yeah, you can blurt out whatever you want about your thoughts on the zine based on blue and purple. We're not going to confirm anything one way or the other. So
I'm sorry, I didn't. What is?
Do what?
Who said who's
Florida
was this?
666, man, your alternate identity.
Oh, sure, sure.
Let's talk a little bit about speaking of people who are your alternate identities. Let's talk a little bit about Mimic Maker, because it's by your co-product supervisor for special products, Justin. Justin, who's one of my favorite people over at Severed Books, who's also on the Exalted Funeral team. Tell me a little bit about the Mimic Maker sticker sheets and Pet Mimic dice bags.
So those you can check it out and pop right through. Justin, for those who don't know Severed, Justin does great books and he also does great merchandise. And so look for a lot more of cool stuff coming in those veins from Exalted Funeral in the future. But Mimic Maker, it's a dice bag and it's a mimic. And the thing I really like about this the best is the individual pockets on the inside. If you scroll 2/3 of the way down, is the individual pockets on the inside of the bag for you to put your different sorts of dice in. I mean, I like to just dump my dice on the counter and just play with all of them because whatever. But it's nice to be able to put a bunch of D20s in one pouch and D6s in another pouch, and D17s in another pouches, and D9s in another pouches, right? And then you put all your minis like right in the middle. Also, who doesn't love a bunch of stickers? And I don't know. I really enjoy the Mimic Toilet as well.
Mimic Toilet's very good. And it's a great thing to reserve for when your people are like, there's never bathrooms in your dungeons, and so you put one in next time, and then there's going to be that one player where like, I'm going to use it, and then you're like, great, roll initiative. And so it's the best. I also have the Mimic Fanny Pack that Justin put out a couple of years ago. That's very, very good. It doesn't fit on my fanny. I need another one so I can daisy chain them together. But because I have a big boy. But there's a lot of cool stuff. Love everything Justin puts out. So if you have a chance, hop over and check out this whole project.
Get it by him before he's famous. And he quits and leaves us all behind.
Awesome. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about Gather. We've mentioned it a couple times. We're gonna go somewhere special. We're gonna go over to our test island right now. We're gonna head over there. So people can get a little bit of a sense of what Gather is, how it works, and kind of what it looks like. This is just a test island. This is not exactly what the con island will look like, though it will be an island. So if it sounded like an in-person con, this is why it did, because we talked about the spaces and the vendors and the other stuff. We're going to be using Gather kind of similar to the way that Session 0 did, to be doing it. If you're not familiar with Gather and what it is a virtual co-working or space that you can use for events. You can build out cool stuff. Jarrett, do you want to follow me? Let me request to lead.
Accepted.
This will keep Jarrett out together. Normally, you see this little kind of thing with Jarrett at the top. We're using our video in another meet just for ease of a number of things. But if it normally would look like when we got close to each other, it would pop up. So it uses your proximity to other people, private spaces, other things like that to group things. So you only hear people talking if you're actually near them and in a conversation with them. You can create a bubble around you to have a private conversation. You can also have people follow you, so even if you're walking around, you don't lose them. You can also, we found out, throw confetti at people.
Whoa, you didn't tell me that.
Yeah. And do some other stuff too. So you can dance if you press Z. You can dance. But this is a private space. There's some games that are built in. But it'll be a whole set of islands, physical spaces, other things like that you can walk around and check out. You should go to Gather app, which you can use on your desktop or on the phone to do it. But we'll have a bunch of linked spaces that'll be connected by portals, as well as the ability to walk between them. We'll have some gatherings and social spaces. We'll have after-hours stuff. We'll have the tables kind of identified for play, so you'll know where you need to go within the space, and a lot of other stuff. We also may have, very much like these islands are together, a number of kind of hidden Easter eggs around the island that if you navigate, there might be certain things that you can find, and those might equate to you getting some cool giveaways or prizes. And so there's some really, really cool things about the format. We're very excited. We were very inspired by Session Zero Con, so we want to give them full props, full shout outs for that.
Yes.
All the great stuff that they did, and their support, even in just kind of talking to us early on about some of this. But really, we were talking about just doing it on Discord, just using like a lot of the tools we already have. What really pushed us to using Gather was the number of people who went to Session Zero Con and said, as an introvert, it was really helpful for me to know how to navigate the spaces, where people are at, knowing as I approached people that they could kind of set how their privacy or their level of engagement or all those things. And so when we heard really strongly from people like this was a really helpful tool for me to be able to more fully engage, that's one of the things that really drove us to do that. So we're very, very excited. It does work on mobile, not 100% the same way, but we had our team meeting the other day, and Willie jumped on and was on mobile and could hear just as well. Their sound was super crisp. You will need to register in order to get access. One of the things we didn't talk about that we haven't 100% finalized yet is we do want to create community passes also. So for people who are on hardship, who can't otherwise access it, who can't afford the like $10-ish that a basic ticket might cost, and that's not a commitment to a price, that's just saying around that range. The ability to say, hey, I want to pay $5 or $7 extra so that somebody else has a pass is something you'll be able to potentially do. And we'll have some community passes set aside specifically for people in parts of the world for whom $10 American is a very different amount of money than it is here in the United States. And so we're trying to be conscious of all those things as part of a global event. More details on all of that later. And so yes, it is tap to move on mobile. We can dance if we want to. Here I'm going to press Z.
Are you going to leave me behind?
I'm not going to leave you behind. You're going to, if you press Z, what happens? Yeah, we're both dancing there. I'll zoom in on us in just a second. Because I think it's very hard to tell that we're dancing. I mean, no matter how much I zoom in, it's hard to tell we're dancing. I got it.
I did want to say the caveat that the island space that we're on, I don't know if anyone can see, but it's called Test Island. This is a test island. It's a pre-built in there. We've got a good squad working on getting the spaces all volunteers. We've got Ben Lindy, we've got Kirby Franklin, we've got Blind Willie P, we got Nick Erickson. Like, I gotta jump over to the server and Riley Coyote. Where's it at? I don't want to forget anybody's name. Folks who we've got Colin, we've got Josh D, we've got Logan, we've got Lucas. Like we got a bunch of folks who are volunteering to help us build up the space, organize events, and kind of like be docents for during the con, direct people different spaces there. In addition to doing a call for GMs next week and stuff like that, we'll probably do a little bit of a call for other folks who just want to volunteer and who are familiar with Gather and kind of help out. Like everyone's help is like super appreciated. This is very new territory for. I've done plenty of
for all of us, yeah.
Right, yeah. I've done plenty of IRL conventions in different sectors and different sections of it, but never let's do it online. And
apparently gather.app is not the right URL. So Gather, just search Gather events.
Yeah.
And it'll
gather.town.
But yeah, hop on it. It's free to hop on and test up. I also know like Kirby and I were talking about making just like a digital space that like a digital co-working space in it later. So for people who want to play games, want to do stuff like that after the con, I know there's a lot of creators who are looking at this as kind of a virtual co-working space, which is its main function now, Gather. And so if you're somebody who's interested in that, please let us know. But yeah, absolutely sign up beforehand to check it out. I'll grab the actual link. Hold on. It's I think it's app.gather is actually what I meant, but it's gather.town is is what the actual link that is not me messing up when I say gather.app. So 100% please hop on, check it out. The #1 platform for funeral homes. But we'll be looking forward to it. If you have thoughts, any of that, if you want to get involved and help out, reach out to Jared or I over on Discord or me over on Twitter. If you're like, I want to run my game, don't send me that, because for one thing, I'm not going to be the one picking that. We'll have information going out next week that's going to collate all that data. If you have an idea for something, though, feel free to reach out. If you're like, I want to be very involved in helping organize it. I mean, I want to be a docent. I want to do community outreach. I would love to help get my local gaming group more engaged in the event. All those types of things, 100% reach out for that type of stuff. We would love to get you in the loop for any or all of those things if you want to. So feel free to do that. But if you just want to run a game, or if you're like, hey, here's a panel idea, if you just want to run a game, or you're like, hey, here's a small question, wait on those things till we get more information out next week. But let us know if you have ideas for other stuff. I will also say we've got some regional reps to make sure that there's good inclusion of all the different voices around the globe that we have major representation for in our wider RPG community. And some really cool people signed on to help with that process, but we're always looking for more. So again, feel free to let us know if you're interested. A Necropolis channel for EFCon, that's a great question. Probably not a bad idea. I'll leave that to the Necropolis admins and Jarrett to figure out, but it's probably a good idea.
Another thing from my list.
It's
good.
Remote work or conference account. I don't know. That's a small question, Haley. We'll figure that out later. Whichever one you want, it'll work the same either way. Probably conference account, I would guess.
I think I used the conference is what I did.
Yeah, I think I'm actually signed up for remote work. They both interface with each other. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
With all that said, it was a great 37-minute long hearse, the longest hearse we've ever had. Let's talk about the obits, the nearly and dearly departed. So what do we have that might be going out of stock soon? If somebody wants to pick it up, what should they grab now?
It's almost like I didn't do my part of the show, Tony.
That's fine. You're doing such a good job. So much stuff in stock. Let's not even worry about that. Let's talk about the eulogy. Today, I'm the guest for the eulogy. Jarrett's going to interview me. I interviewed Jarrett when I was alive on the original episode of this, but Jarrett's never interviewed me. So that's why, since my future ghost is here today, covering for me, Jarrett's going to ask me the funeral party questions.
Well, and this is like our 3,000th show, too.
This is our 3,000th show.
3,000th episode of Funeral Party.
So, also, if you have questions about iToaster, Through the Void, Down We Go, any of the games you know that I've designed, or the work we do here on Plus One EXP, it's a great chance for you to just ask them, pick my brain about stuff. But, Jarrett, why don't you hit me with those questions?
Well, I guess we didn't ask. We didn't ask. What year did you die?
Oh, what year did I die?
Mm-hmm.
I've got to do all the mental math there. There's a procedural way this is generated, and that is actually when people die. So I have to do the math. So 38 plus 15 plus 22 is 75. So in 2075, I died.
Okay. Well, how did you die?
My beard was finally fed up and just took over completely. So there's still a shambling beard corpse out there somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I like this is fun. Getting to be told. This is it. Okay. What do you want to have happen with your remains?
I would like to. I have very little concern about what happens after I die, other than I would like to return to the earth. I am very opposed to the way that we process corpses currently, and the amount of space that we take up with them. So, what I think happened is, mainly because my spouse has a high, is we got buried in one of those body orchard farms. So we have trees that are above, that our corpses got turned into nutrients for, as well. However, they did clip off my entire beard beforehand. so that they could be used as relics to inspire people in the future, just to draw power from.
Right. Well, and also like your beard could be a mimic too.
It could
go back to the mimic. Yeah. Ooh, we could weave your beard into a mimic pouch.
We could weave my beard into. I'm sure somebody did, right? I'm sure they took the hair, as nourished as it was after years and years of being balmed, and probably cloned it and used it as a new super strong fibrous texture to make all kinds of things.
Oh yeah, parasails mostly.
So,
what do you want people to say about you at your funeral?
Yeah, so at my funeral, I would love my kids to not hate me. That's a thing I think about sometimes. I want to be somebody who people like, who I made a difference in the life of people, like here and beyond. Like I'm somebody who believes in an afterlife, who believes in eternity. I would like to be somebody who maybe inspired people to ask questions about the way they live their life right now, but also potentially what bigger things are out there beyond what we can immediately perceive in our life. So I hope I'm somebody who both inspired people to live a better life and ask big questions.
And that your kids don't hate.
And I would love my kids to not be up and be like, my dad was horrible and I hate him. I would love my kids to tell good stories about me and say that.
Someday, I'm going to meet your kids, and they're all going to be like, "Yeah, our dad's actually really cool. He just doesn't know." It's like, you know how it is. Kids are never going to tell you that,
I think 2 out of 4 probably think I'm okay.
Right?
So, 50-50. I mean, that's fine.
That's a decent percentage,
yeah.
Honestly. Yeah. Most important question for me is, what song do you want played?
You're not going to like the answer to this one. If I 100% had my druthers, just podcasts. Like I would have a selection of my favorite. It wouldn't even be music. It's the equivalent of, say, like before podcasts were a thing. If you asked what my favorite radio station, I would be like talk radio. I like to listen to people. I'm not even going to give you a good answer. Here's 2 options though. Offspring. The Kids Are All Right is great. I think anything off the Smash album. Or Americana is fine. And then the other one would be, these are literally my 2 favorite musical performers, or anything by Art Garfunkel. That's the other option. Nice. Art Garfunkel and the Offspring, which is really like interesting because what's his name? The lead singer of Offspring is like a trained opera singer. Like they both have tremendous range and vocal skill. Yeah, those are Scissors Cut is great. Like I'm a big Simon and Garfunkel is fine, but Art Garfunkel by himself is my favorite.
Interesting. Dexter Holland is the singer.
Yeah, Dexter. That's what I was trying to remember.
Look at me, music trivia. Just proud as side note. I've got the last 3 hurdles in one note. The last 3 mornings in 1.1 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah, podcast buried at the funeral. Like it would be a mix of RPG podcasts on spirituality, but I do like Bioden's Beard to keep with the ghost theme. 99% Invisible is a very, very good answer for that. But yeah, I mean, I'm a creator. I created podcasts for years also too. I'm a big fan of the medium of talk and long form conversations.
Nice. Yeah, I didn't dislike your answer, but I just had to laugh. I had to be like, "Yep, Tony Curveball, very well played, Ghost of Tony." What is the one game that someone else made, not your game, but someone else made, that you wish to be buried with, or planted under the tree with you?
Patchwork World by Aaron King was my game of the year last year, but it really is my favorite game. It's ostensibly kind of PBTA. I mean, it is a 2d6 thing, but there's no playbooks. So you build characters by selecting different abilities, which you can play. It's kind of generic, but it does have a core setting called the Icy City, which is this weird patchwork space of everything that comes after. So it's about the spaces between other stuff like that. I have a character that I have played in Patchwork World that I've played on every stream of Patchwork World I've ever done, which is the character I've played the most over the course of the last 2 years. Because anytime it's going to get played on a stream, I try to weasel my way in. It's the boy from over there, which is a reference to in the last episode of Boy Meets World, when they were in high school before they bumped up to college. Minkus comes back, who was like the nerdy, like foil annoying character early in the series, but then disappeared at one point. And Topanga is maybe going to be valedictorian, but Minkus shows back up and is her rival for valedictorian. It's going to be right to the very end because that's how valedictorians work. They were like, "Where have you been the last few years?" And he just points off camera, like slightly to the side, and he's like, "I've been over there." And they go, "Oh, over there? We don't go over there." And I thought it was like such a dumb, funny, smart, clever joke to be like, I'm on the other, I've been hanging out in the area that should exist in the school, but is really just off camera. And I was like, so my character was entirely conceived around the, he's just the boy from over there. Like, what is over there? It's that space right there. There's no definition to it, but he's come over here to explore what over here and all the other worlds are like around it. And he's a very curious 12-year-old who sometimes gets warped when he travels between time and space. Anyways, I love Patchwork World. I like it uses kind of the Passionis system of every ability you take gives you 1 or 2 questions, and if you answer yes to those questions, you get a +1 to your roll when you're using an ability, which I like better. Like, are you prepared? And the things that go wrong are totally buck wild, and it's just a really cool system. It's Patchwork World by Aaron King.
Fantastic. If we all end up in some sort of Valhalla-like afterlife, playing one RPG for eternity, what do you hope the theme and core mechanic are, and what you drinking?
It's not even, it's GURPS. We're gonna play GURPS for all eternity. We're gonna play GURPS 5th edition, the theoretical GURPS that comes next. It'll never happen. I don't think there's gonna be another edition of GURPS ever printed. But we're going to play GURPS 5th edition in Eternity because we can play anything in GURPS. And I think the 3d6 is the most elegant bell curve there is. I love the way that the math works in GURPS. It's actually tremendously easy to explain, but you can do almost infinite customization of characters, and I'm going to be playing for all eternity. We've got plenty of time to make characters, so taking an hour or 2 the first time you do it to make one and then getting better at it over time is fine. People in chat are going to be upset with me right now, but the answer is, it's not even what do I hope the core mechanic is. It's we're playing GURPS for all eternity. GURPS 5th edition by Adira Slatter and Tony.
Is he a certain skull boy giving you shaky?
That was before I said that. That was
okay.
So what's in my cup? I love coffee. So I'm gonna say like a good locally sourced, locally roasted in coffee, you know.
Okay. Do you drink? It's actually a related question. How do you drink your coffee? How do you take it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's good answer.
I own less coffee preparation material now than I've ever owned in my life, but I have never lived in a house since 2003 that didn't have at least 5 ways to brew coffee in it. And so, like, I'll do it this summer. I'll do a lot of cold brew. I toddy brew my cold brew, so it sits overnight and then drains out through a cotton filter. Sometimes I'll sock it, like I'll put it all on a sock to do that, but usually it's the toddy. For hot brewing day to day, I have a good drip filter and a good burr grinder that I use. But I'll French press. I'll do Turkish every once in a while, and I'll get sometimes super traditional, very sweet, very spicy Turkish coffee, though that's not as common anymore. I don't have an espresso machine currently, but yeah, I'll do coffee a lot of different ways, and I really love great coffee. So.
I'm with you there. I have multiple ways to do coffee. However, I am lazy and just do basic drip and over ice because I drink a lot of it. As you do too. We've had many conversations.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, and the nice thing about toddy is it's lower acidity, and so it's just easier to drink all day long.
Yeah.
But I'll drink sometimes like 10 or 12 cups of coffee in a day easily.
Yeah.
And so
That's a Tuesday.
Yeah. And so not every, I mean, some days I'll have 1 cup. Sometimes I'll go without a cup of coffee if I just, get busy and forget, but it's pretty rare. But it's largely because I like the flavor of coffee, not for any other reasons.
Sweet. What inspires you?
So I am tremendously inspired by a lot of different things. But I think the interplay between humanity and divinity is the number one thing that constantly inspires me. And that looks a lot of different ways to a lot of different people. For me, it is about, man, this is in history, remembering back on what was happening this day. This is a hard day to talk about that in some ways. But when people stop to consider, like I said, that there might be bigger things out there than themselves, and whether that means the rest of humanity, like that we stop and consider the person next to us or across the street from us or across the table from us and what their life is like and what their experience is like and what it means to be human. I think that lets us break through into different spaces and different places. For me, as somebody who is a person of faith, the concept of what it means if the God I believe in is the God that I believe them to be, and if they are real, that is something that constantly kind of calls me out of myself and causes me to question, in a good way, I think, my baser motivations for things. It asks me to consider what love is, what truth is, what goodness is, what beauty is, from a lens that isn't just my own limited human experience. And I think on both ends of that, the humanity and the human and divine side of things, we see that. But I also love like really good fucking science fiction too. Like I love, like yesterday I watched, I pulled up my thing and like I just finished season 2 of For All Mankind, and like new episodes of Orville and Star Trek Strange New Worlds have just dropped, and Orville's doing a great job of self-aware sci-fi. Strange New Worlds is like peak Trek. Like I don't know that it will surpass Deep Space Nine as my favorite Star Trek for the very reasons that I just named, like the interplay between exploring religion, faith, the rough humanity of Deep Space Nine that doesn't exist in other settings. But Strange New Worlds is, I think, objectively potentially the best. It's only what, like 6 or 7 episodes in. It's objectively the best Star Trek written so far. The last episode alone, the mix of text levels and feels and vibes, it's tremendous. And so like I love the fact that we live in a golden age of science fiction in a way that we never have before from a screen perspective. And I love the conversations that come up flung far into the future and beyond.
What's Star Trek?
Right? It's like Star Wars, but good.
Oh, okay.
Look, Star Wars.
So
Here's the deal. Here's one of my friends recently was like,
3,000
wanted me
final episode of Funeral Party.
Somebody really wanted me to get into a conversation the other day about Star Wars, and they wanted me to be very opinionated. I was like, hey, I'm happy to have this conversation. I just want you to know, like, I don't care about Star Wars, and like, wow. I consume every piece of Star Wars media that comes out. I enjoy it. But if you ask me to be emotionally invested in it, I'm not at all. I don't have an emotional investment. And here's the thing. It's fantasy. And I enjoy fantasy as well as science fiction deeply. In fantasy is about inconceivable forces being brought to bear that kind of force things in a certain direction. Like the whole point of Star Wars is, will you listen to the Force or not? Right. And so things go the way the Force wants them to, or they don't, but they do. Like that's kind of the conceit of the series, which means there's no stakes. Like science fiction at its best is when you're really exploring, will people do this thing or not? It's way more choice oriented, even though it's all written and it's all an author just making up shit. Like I get it. But fantasy has the vibes of there's bigger world forces that are causing things to happen. And in sci-fi, we get way more granular about people create those forces that cause those things to happen. And I like that differentiation. So it's really hard for me to care about fantasy, and Star Wars is objectively a fantasy show.
We're still in a fight. We'll take this off screen.
Yeah, I love Babylon 5. I'm Battlestar Galactica, great. I'm here for Earth 2. Earth 2 was so good, should have gotten at least 2 more seasons. If it was around today, it would have. Halo Hand was talking yesterday about how Orville wrecked them, even though it was a comedy. There were Mudwalker dudes in Earth 2, yes. That is 100%. Real Meat Castle also agrees that not being invested in Star Wars is the way to go. There's some great stuff, but yeah, I'm a big fan. Battlefield Earth. No, we said Earth 2. I don't think we said Battlefield Earth. Did we say Battlefield? I said Battlestar Galactica, not Battlefield Earth. I do like, if you've ever read the book for Battlefield Earth, it's a really cool book, as long as you don't buy into any sort of Scientology principles that are softly peddled in it. They're not super evident at that point in time. Like he hadn't fully gone into that shit, but it's definitely laying the groundwork to lure you in. So don't do that. Just consume it as fictional media, not as as a reality of how you should live your life. Cool. Does anybody else have questions in the chat that you want to ask me? You can ask Through the Void, iToaster. iToaster is going in at this point in time. I keep on saying this, I'm assuming, into its third printing, because the second printing sold through. I'm assuming that Exalted Funeral is going to continue to print iToaster. Am I correct?
Well, I don't know this fight now. I'm kidding. Yes. No, that's the cool thing about our printing partnership programs is I love to do it. My bosses love to do it. We want to keep things in print. We want more and more people to experience more and more stuff. And if we can be conduit for that, that's great. Speaking of, before we sign off, I have some previews of stuff for the summer sale.
I would love to see that.
I'd love to see some. Okay.
I bet people would. Dice Maven wants to know when Through the Void is going to hit physical crowdfund. And when is the timeline for Down We Go, if you can piggyback. So Down We Go is like any game that gets produced and people want new things when we're in the middle of a campaign. It is in penultimate draft right now. So Johnny's doing a couple layout changes. And then on Monday or Tuesday, we're going to push that out to backers. It'll also go up on itch as for people who've already bought it there too, for the digital. It's 80 pages. It was supposed to be 52 to 60, and the amount of expanded content that we unlocked in the campaign, plus adding the solo rule variants, caused that to bump up to currently right now it's at 72, but also we didn't put most of the art in yet, so it's going to end up around 80 pages exactly. That's fine. We can cover that in all of our costs at the scale we're purchasing. It's not a big deal at all. But the penultimate version of that will go out for community review basically over the next month before we order finals. I'll have test copies at Gen Con if you want to see a physical copy, and we'll be taking pre-orders there also too for people who didn't get on the campaign. Through the Void, the goal is that we'll have Down We Go land in people's doors, and Through the Void will launch as for crowdfunding in September. Also, if Jarrett and I get it all done in the next week or two with all the other things we've got going on, we will have print versions of the Through the Void Ash Can, which will be a 32-page version of Through the Void that has some of the essential content you'll need and gives you a real sense of where the book's going. We'll have about 100 print copies of that available at Gen Con for folks also too, so we can give it to reviewers, but so people can pick up an early copy if they want. So there will be a physical version there. The beta will get updated on the site, and then we will have a crowdfunding campaign for that later in the year that I'm very excited about also too.
Sweet. Yeah. Gen Con. I'm excited. There's so many things to do before Gen Con that I'm just like, ooh, that might be a reward.
Are you going to come to Gen Con?
Oh, yes, sir. I'm going to be there. Actually,
last time we talked, you weren't sure, so I wanted to.
Momedos.
Since BIM is coming, you wanted to.
She won the Diana Jones Emerging Designer Award.
I mean, I know that because I'm in the future. I didn't know if you would realize that yet. Don't want to mess with the timeline.
So the DJ Foundation, they're flying her over. So I can't not go because it's not very often that I don't, I get to, like, Gen Con is one of the few times a year that I get to see Diogo. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like it's like one time every other year these days. And then also Mothership is up for the Diana Jones Award, the Diana Jones Award, the non-award. And so I'm going to be there at the awards banquet, whether we win or lose, as the representative from Mothership line and the Mothership community in TKG. So that's like super honorific and awesome. I'm so
excited about Gen Con. Because now I get to see you in person for the first time.
Yes, exactly. And then we'll get to schmooze it up at the Ennies Awards, which Ennies nominations should be going up fairly soon, in a couple more weeks here. So that'll be exciting. So and yeah, just it's a fun show. It's a good show. It's very sensory overload, but I'm going as a pseudo civilian this year, representing people I work for and my company and stuff like that. But also, I'm not going to be running booths or be running games on books, so I will be there hanging out, doing cool stuff. And of course, the Hobonomicon late night DCC that happens at the Embassy Suites Hotel. Be there, be square. I think this year it's going to be the Battle for Catastrophe Island, I think, is one of the loose things we've got going on there. Always a good time. 60 person, 12 plus tables, madness, multi DM. So yeah, it'll be fun.
You're gonna pull out some of those samples while you're doing that. Green Pappy wants to know, does EF go to PAX U? I know you and I have talked a little bit about this. There's still a big question mark for EF on physical conventions as a boost and other stuff like that.
Sure, yeah.
I know the plan in the future is to be able to do that stuff, but like health concerns and other stuff, y'all are being very aware of that. Have there been conversations about PAX U yet?
There have been. Work in progress. More information soon. I hope to be able to do that. We hope to, as a team, be able to make the call if it's going to work out for us or not. I mean, obviously, we'd love to go to every single show and have some sort of physical representation, tabling or whatnot. It's figuring out. Our staff is growing, which is yay. Like, it's super important right now.
But
working.
I will be at PAX U. And
Tony will be.
And Justin from your staff will be at PAX U because he lives in Baltimore. Yes. It's local for him. Local. And so, yeah, just FYI. Come to PAX U. But let's see some samples.
And I posted a picture of these on Necropolis the other day, but I'm just going to do a quick one. Rotten Bits by Kevin Daltrey in the Forbidden Psalm universe. It's one of those great full circle. So Kevin wrote Forbidden Psalm, which is third-party Morkborg miniatures agnostic minis rules, and then the Morkborg team did miniatures, partnered with Westphalia, and Westphalia reached out to Kevin and was like, "Hey, do a minis book." So there are actual Forbidden Psalm rules for the characters in that are for the classes in the Morkborg core book. Right. This was available as part of the miniatures Kickstarter in digital format. And so they were kind enough to agree to do that, as worked out that deal with Kevin. So we got that out. That's really cool. We have Micro Circuits, which those of us who grew up in the 80s know all about GoBots, and some of you know about Transformers and stuff like that. Gord is just super ultra rules light, minimalist. If last year was the year of like small animals, this year is the year of small robots. I know the year changes all the time. Content warning: spiders. Please, if you are very serious, if you
look away,
if you're up away, look away and mute. But Arachnid stuff by Gustavo Chileon, creator of Cooling Plateau and Riverbend. This is very much giant spiders for your games. So leave it at that. Kirby, Disaster Tourism, Wired, Super Rules, Minimalist, Cyberpunk. There's not much to it because it's so good.
Was that NA6 also?
This is
Was wired A6 or A5?
A5.
A5. Okay. It was just
A5,
it was real quick,
sorry.
so I couldn't tell. No,
Yep.
you're good.
Cool. We have the Bureau, one of two supplements for Liminal Horror that are coming out. The Mall's the other one. The Mall, I would show both of them. The Mall's not in my hands. So that you can kind of tell from the cover it is. Again, I don't want to give too many spoilers on these things, but supplemental material for Liminal Horror. You definitely love that. Tangled by Afterthought Committee. It's the second in the OSE funnel series that Afterthought did. You can't really tell because of the camera, but it's some gorgeous art all the way through and beautiful 8-bit pixel style all the way throughout.
Yeah.
I'm the bad guy, where you get to play as the bad guy. This is from Night Owl Publishing. Himskirk did a fantastic job, and it's where you play as the bad guys. So you get to play as Taniwa. You essentially play as the troll, right? And then you're going out and you're killing the knights in the castle and doing all that stuff. Leviathan and Loom, which is one of the 4 adventure modules that we released digitally with the ARC Kickstarter last year. There will be 4 of these total. Gorgeous art and design.
Gorgeous girls.
All the way throughout. Like everything. And then last but definitely not least, this is for Mystic Punks. Max on. Anyway, Trial at Winders with a fantastic, amazing cover by Sally Cantorino. I don't know if you're watching this.
I love Sally.
Below. Always good. This is risograph printed to stay in line with a lot of stuff that we were doing for Mystic Punks. Also, House issue 3 should be popping out soon. Done Rizzo printed at Clown Kisses Press. James, I don't know if you watch the show, but you should, because put a lot of your stuff on here. Just super awesome, amazing. Like, if you've not played Mystic Punks, it's good, gory, cheesy, over the top, schlock horror, fun stuff. And Trial at Winders, you can tell what it is from the cover, y'all. It's...
Two things. One, everybody keeps on saying, I want everything. Man, wouldn't it be great if, as part of your admission to Exalted Funeral Con, you could just click the cart and get one of everything for like a 15% discount or whatever. That'd be really cool if that was an option. I'm just throwing it out there. Maybe we can make it happen. 2, I love Sally. Sally is just an enjoyable person to spend time with, to be around. Got to hang out with them at PAX U last year. I got to play games with her in Hamboat a couple of times. Sally is going to be doing the art for the iToaster maintenance manual that's going to come out later this year with more art. So she'll be doing an art piece for every single adventure installation, as well as the cover and a couple spots inside. And so we're very excited to kind of expand the iToaster repertoire a little bit later this year, and have Sally do the art for each of those pieces. And so we'll be doing an iToaster jam in a couple of months, and we will be people from that jam will be able to submit their stuff for that anthology if they would like. So keep an eye out for that also.
One last preview. I saved the one I'm really super stoked. I mean, I'm super stoked about all these, to be 100% clear. This one just came to me in a dream. For those of you who longtime watchers of the show, we had Stella Condry on several episodes back, and she talked about her series of pamphlets, Rimbound Transmission. She does these on her Patreon once a month for as low as $5. You can get a physical copy that she prints out and hand dresses and mails to you. Like, it's really super awesome. And Tony asked her if she wanted to run something during the convention. And she was like, well, I guess I'd better have something to sell. And so we had talked about, Stella and I, about doing a end of the year compilation of the pamphlets, right? But then we're like, okay, let's fast track it and let's do 6 months. So it's 6 months pamphlets, January through June. And then I was watching Total Recall, and there's always like space pouches that they put their documents and stuff in. So I got with
What?
Justin,
What?
and he sourced me an amazing yeah. So it's the 6 pamphlets in this. I mean, it's those of us who grew up in the 80s know that this is a pencil case or a makeup bag. But we're gonna pretend that it's a space document.
It's a space document bag. It doesn't matter.
So
I mean, if it was a real space document bag, it wouldn't have corners because
right.
you know, in BSG paper doesn't have corners. But you know,
okay, we'll for the second volume, for the second collection, but it's oversized, so you can put more of your mothership first and third party pamphlets in there. You can fit character sheets. Yesterday I did a test where I put the PSG in there, and it popped the little plastic runner off, which I could pop it back on. I wouldn't recommend putting your zines in there, but or your modules. Your zines in there.
Next print run will just go slightly larger,
just a little bit larger to fit those in there. But yeah, no, we've been teasing this. Thank you to Stella for letting me do this, and thanks to Justin for finding it, and my bosses for letting me print it. I'm like super.
I'm so excited about that. Hey, speaking of Stella and speaking of space pamphlets. Guess who's doing it Through the Void space pamphlet? It'll be available at Gen Con also.
Oh, what do you know?
Stella is going to be doing one. We're going to have some art by Thomas Novosel in it, but she's going to do all the layout. Yeah, I just went to a bunch of my favorite Mothership creators and was like, it's a different universe. It's a different thing. Would you want to make something in your style, though? And Stella was like, you're going to pay me to make a game? And I said, yes. And so go pay Stella to make games. They do such great stuff. And so hop on that Patreon if you haven't, but even if you already have hopped on that Patreon, you know you want that space bag. And consider, what if there was a level at which you could get all that space bag is included?
Give me 2 seconds. I will be right back and we'll do the drawing so you can quit pestering me.
All right, last call. If you got any questions, let us know. For people who, I think I said it earlier, Real Meat Castle, thanks so much for subscribing. We've got a couple new subscribers today. Thank you all very much. A couple things we've got coming up tomorrow. If you are in New York City or the surrounding area, I will be up at Hex & Co., Hex & Co. West, which is in New York City. I'm going to be there for free RPG Day, hanging out. It's me and a bunch of indie designers, including friends of the channel, Banana Chan, Richard Ruane will stop in at the end of the day. Super Dylan from over on TikTok, and the Homebrew crew is going to be there also. But we're going to be taking a couple weeks off after that. So if you're in New York City, come say hello and hang out. If you're not in New York City, don't worry about it. Go find your friendly local game store. Hang out there and tell them that if they use ACD as their distributor, they can now order a bunch of great zines from Exalted Funeral. If you give me 500 pounds of nothing, Stella just offered, if you give me a $10,000 pop on her Patreon, she will personally trap you in a space bag. So just for $10,000, Stella will trap you in your very own custom space bag. And so speaking of all these great conventions, do you have any favorite smaller cons that are more directly related to indie RPG scene? I mean, Exalted Funeral Con. Duh. I actually will say this. PAX U has a really great indie RPG representation and is very D&D light. And it's not a small con, it's a big con. Setting that aside, I only know from reputation, because I haven't been going to cons the last couple of years, North Texas RPG Con, because Dallas is home, is one that I've heard a lot of great things about. If you're into the old school flavor of the scene, I think that's a great one to look at. Gamehole gets a lot of love as well. Jarrett, any small cons that you're a big fan of?
I was going to say Gamehole Con. I have yet to actually go, but Doug is always on me every year because it happens right around my birthday, and he's always like, "You should go, you should go." But it's always just like time and travel. And my friend Forrest Aguirre, like, he's always like, "You just gotta come," the Minneapolis crew. Julian and Trevor. Sorry, I gotta shout out everybody's names. Clint, John, like everybody, like. I don't want to forget any of them. They're really good crew. I got to get up there at some point. So, and also, Big Bad Con
Oh, Big Bad Con. I don't know if big. I would consider it small.
I haven't been, but
it's 100% an indie RPG con, especially people on the story game side of things. I would say Big Bad Con is your go-to con for that. And so Virtual Horror Con is coming up. So somebody asked, did we say what the movie at EF Con was, or is it secret? I did ask Jarrett to see if he could finalize an answer to that.
Oops,
did that
failed.
happen?
I failed. I critical failure.
So it might be Hard Ticket to Hawaii, but it might be another movie by that same creator. We will see, but it's kind of a schlock film thing. And John Hambone McGuire will be running an adventure based on it, or on Hard Ticket to Hawaii, one of the two. We'll see. We'll see what actually happens. But we have not. I don't think we have formal confirmation on exactly which one it is yet.
AKA, Jared's going to be watching some schlock horror films this weekend, and just kind of like rating them for content and just being like, which ones, we're going to be watching this satirically, but we're also just aware of
which of these is going to get us canceled the
sure.
least.
We'll just don't. Well, I just, we're going to be just aware of what we're going to be portraying and stuff like that. Like it's schlocky. It was the 80s. What are you going to do? So, lots of explosions. That's what we're going to do.
Jared, I won't say who, but I will say that somebody has already messaged me on Discord and said that they are 100% the demographic for the one button buy all kind of thing, and they hope it comes to fruition because it genuinely makes it so much easier to just get everything they want. And so I'm just going to throw it out there. Somebody has sent me that directly. I won't say their name. I won't even say that and then say their name anyways. Let's see. We've got people. People are like, oh my gosh, you guys keep on talking. Just give us the games. All right, you got two things we're giving away. What's in the first giveaway bundle again?
Creatures of the Dying World, old school stylish, Lost in the Deep, and I'm also going to throw in some packs of battle cards.
Awesome.
Because who doesn't love packs of battle cards?
Hit ! Bury me to get entered into that giveaway if you want. I'm going to close it in just 1 second. This is your last chance! ! Bury me. You do have to be following the channel to get entered, but go ahead and type that in if you have not yet. We've got a couple last minute entries. Good. I'm glad I said it. Battle cards. They're just Jarrett's business cards.
Right.
Oh, somebody brought me down a pancake while we've been talking. This is truly the most blessed afterlife there is. I got a pancake. I didn't even know existed. All right, we're gonna close the giveaway because I gave people plenty of time. Now that Richard Ruane has gotten in there, that's all I really care about. All right, here we go. Gorgor Big says pancake me. That's a different giveaway. You can also type an ! Bag me to get space bagged for 10K. You do have to send 10K still.
It's a lot of money.
All right, picking winner number one for that one. We've got disaster tourism. Boo!
Okay. I think I owe them stuff that they won from a few months ago.
Yeah, something like that. All right, Curbs, we'll get that out to you. Congrats. Second entry, we've got, what do we got for the second one again?
We have Nightcrawlers, Kalunga Plateau Volume 1, The Big Wet, and iToaster.
iToaster. All right, here we go. iToaster's hard to get right now from over here also too, unless you go to your friendly local game store.
That's right.
Pick winner number two. Cameron, you won last night.
Who? Yeah.
Cameron, our friend from over on the server, who won a giveaway of Navitham's End last night on stream also too. But you know what? We don't have any rules about any of that, so you can win all the time here on. We just typed in "so what." Yeah, so what exactly? So we will reach out to those folks since we know both of them and get them those pieces. Congrats, Cameron. Congrats, everybody else. I hope everybody has a great free RPG day. I know it's going to be great because I'm a ghost from the future. Jarrett, any last thoughts before we sign out today?
This is where we do the thing.
We're about to in a second, but do you have anything you want to say to people?
Just mad shout out and thanks to everybody for all the stuff and getting new product with me and letting us like publish this and work with it all. Like it literally is like so super fun just to be able to like do this with people like all the time for reals.
Biggest thing you can do if you are excited about EFCon is when we drop the formal links and everything next week. Help retweet that, share it, post it in groups, and ask who else is coming. Let everybody know. Talk to your local play groups about it. Encourage people to get online and come enjoy it. If it's as successful as I know it's going to be from the future, next year we've got plans for how we want to expand is probably an interesting way to talk about it, but ways we want to improve the event already. That we'll be able to do with a little bit more lead up. Because we want to make sure it's a truly global event as we move forward. And then the other thing, eventually, if it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, just we'll take over. We'll destroy Gen Con and take over.
Either that or we're going to get mechs.
Yeah. One of the two.
Or both.
And remember, alive or dead,
we'll see you
at the next funeral party. You stopped on purpose at the last second. We were perfectly in sync that time, and you screwed it up on purpose.
This ghost hates me. This ghost hates me.
I know it. We'll see you guys soon. We'll talk to you later. Bye.